Story 9. Exposed. Posted on October 27th, 2021. Today, I present to you the 9th part of the Fat Tinkerbell series. The following is a true story experienced by the author. All characters are still alive and kicking to this day. To recap. On the very last story, titled More Secrets, Fat Tinkerbell ends up hearing even more secrets about her crush RoboCop. From almost 6 different people at this point. From Mrs. Shorthair, who no longer works there, from Bear Boy, Diet Coke, Mrs. Help, and Big Barbie, who is also from the Help Center. Fat Tinkerbell at that point was obsessed with RoboCop, her boss. Her direct manager. She was completely enthralled by him. After having learned so much about the hottest man on Earth, she was heartbroken. A lot of her dreams of romance were now crushed. Brunette Barbie had taken RoboCop all for herself and beat any other girl to it. Like I mentioned on the previous story, basically Fat Tinkerbell was now angry, fuming, and jealous. She felt a type of jealousy and envy that's never been there before. It was a type of jealousy unknown to her. Fat Tinkerbell felt very confused and overwhelmed by this new feeling of jealousy. But let's begin this story. Exposed. On the coming days, Fat Tinkerbell made the final decision to not ever see or witness the Help Center ever again. It was causing her a lot of distress. Fat Tinkerbell wasn't okay with feeling something so animalistic and ignorant such as jealousy. Fat Tinkerbell doesn't really pay mind or act on such terrible feelings of that kind. She was not about to let it govern over her now. Regardless of what she now knew about RoboCop, she would still not speak with him or interact with him or get to know him because of how shy she was, and the type of guy he is. She avoided RoboCop like he were the devil. She avoided him at every corner, at every location, or point of meet. RoboCop was a manly badass. He could care less if Fat Tinkerbell hated him. He was still gonna do his duties, and follow around whoever he wanted to follow around. If he wanted to be curious and see what Fat Tinkerbell is doing every second of the day, well, that's exactly what he was willing to do. Overall, no matter how many days or hours passed by, Fat Tinkerbell didn't speak to RoboCop. And RoboCop also didn't go out of his way to speak with Fat Tinkerbell. RoboCop was her direct manager, so RoboCop would just tell her what to do, where to be, and order her around. By this time, Fat Tinkerbell had mixed emotions about RoboCop. She didn't know whether to dream about him, or whether to hate him. As time came for the soldiers to receive their vacation time, Fat Tinkerbell was unaware of this practice. One day, she noticed that RoboCop had almost 6 days that he was removed from the schedule. Fat Tinkerbell's stomach sunk. Seeing that the hottest man on Earth was either fired or quit but was gone from her job. Fat Tinkerbell, as she now had Weed Guy replacing RoboCop all those days, she casually asks Weed Guy what it is that had happened to RoboCop on the schedule. So this is when Weed Guy educated Fat Tinkerbell on the fact that this job offers all workers 5 days of paid vacation time a year. And so RoboCop had chosen that specific week to go on his vacation. On his earned 5 days. Fat Tinkerbell was so happy and so glad that RoboCop wasn't gone forever or quit. It was truly a relief. She disliked a lot of things about this man, but her attraction to him overpowered any common sense she had at all. She wasn't ready to just lose an incredibly hot man from her sight, from her vicinity, and from her presence. To her, his attention was almost like a drug, like an addiction. Just having RoboCop as eye candy was making it so that she'd make it to work on time and excited to be at work on the daily basis. His sole existence, to her, felt like the only reason to wake up daily and to be alive. To continue living. So as Weed Guy covered for RoboCop, Fat Tinkerbell was forced to work alongside the Help Center people. All over again, work with the same Help Center where Mrs. Help is at, where Big Barbie is at, and where RoboCop's ex, Brunette Barbie, is also at. Alongside many other irrelevant supermodels that work at that station all together. Fat Tinkerbell had no choice. She had tasks to complete with them and paperwork she had to provide for them directly. She had to be their bodyguard sometimes, and protect them. That's what Fat Tinkerbell was being paid to do. If she said no, she'd be fired. It's basically part of her duties. Part of being a soldier. It is what the king says. Now that Fat Tinkerbell again was seeing Brunette Barbie directly and being near her and having to witness her. Again, Fat Tinkerbell felt the intoxicating emotion of jealousy or envy again. Fat Tinkerbell tried her best not to mind feelings of jealousy, incompetence, and inferiority. Fat Tinkerbell actually had an outstanding imagination. She took thoughts of anger and jealousy and tried to make herself feel equal to Brunette Barbie or the supermodels at her job by pointing out physical features Fat Tinkerbell had herself. Good physical features that those Barbies were lacking. In reality, Fat Tinkerbell truly was a morbidly obese young woman, but she didn't have an ugly face. She, in fact, had a pretty face. Usually she'd receive compliments when it was about her facial features or how attractive she was. In other words, people would occasionally call her pretty, cute, beautiful, or attractive. But they'd never call her sexy or hot. She was a heavy and obese young lady, but she wasn't hideous when it came to her eyes and overall face. She was what people today call a butter body, the opposite of a butter face. Fat Tinkerbell took that and used it internally as a shield against bad thoughts, or self-hate, or feelings of jealousy. Against feelings of incompetence, inferiority, and such. Truly, she wasn't wrong when she thought, for example, that she had full beautiful lips, unlike Brunette Barbie who had the thinnest lips on earth. Like, how the fuck is she supposed to kiss someone? With her beak? How was RoboCop kissing her? It's a mystery the world will never know. This 20 or 21-year-old has zero breast. Zero boobs. Her chest was like a flat table. Her chest was like a 12-year-old little boy. What was RoboCop even grabbing onto? Her nipples only? Was he pulling on her nipples, now that this is all there was? Ha 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 ha. Brunette Barbie had no ass or boobs. Ha 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 ha. All she had was pretty eyes, pretty lashes, and pretty eyebrows. That's it. She was so thin, in fact, that she was lacking everywhere else. Ha 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 ha. Moving on, this did help Fat Tinkerbell a lot with self-esteem issues. Brunette Barbie had a rounded baby type of face, and Fat Tinkerbell had adult cheekbones and a strong jaw. Regardless, as time went by, and Fat Tinkerbell just was being overwhelmed by the thought of Brunette Barbie and RoboCop being a thing. Fat Tinkerbell decided to do something out of jealousy, out of anger, and out of boredom. Out of evil, out of spite, mainly out of revenge. Fat Tinkerbell one day noticed that there was a brand new Barbie inside the help center. This young girl was being trained by Mrs. Help and some of the other girls in there. And soon Fat Tinkerbell ends up meeting this one new girl. Fat Tinkerbell befriended the girl a little bit. Every time Fat Tinkerbell would see this girl, they'd talk, chit-chat, and greet each other. We'll call her Barbie 101, just because. Anyway, Fat Tinkerbell decided to snitch on the Brunette Barbie and RoboCop to her. She decided to expose Brunette Barbie and RoboCop. The plan was basically to tell the new girl in a low-key type of fashion. It was a perfect plan in Fat Tinkerbell's head. Fat Tinkerbell thought that she'd end up exposing the nasty, rotten, overused, ran through Brunette Barbie to the rest of the Barbies by telling the disgusting story of RoboCop with her. To the brand new girl at that help center. Ha 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 ha. Fat Tinkerbell had no idea, however, if all the other Barbies knew of the situation with Brunette Barbie plus RoboCop. It was a 100% chance that they did. Fat Tinkerbell could feel it in her bones that they all did. All of them. Even the weird blind Barbie. Regardless, Fat Tinkerbell continues her plan, and one afternoon, she casually walks into that building with the help center in there. She noticed that Barbie 101 was in there, all alone. Everything was nice and quiet, customers were all leaving by that time, stores were all still open, it was just a nice clean night. After a dumb, casual, friendly conversation with Barbie 101 there, Fat Tinkerbell begins the plan to expose the nasty Brunette Barbie. Basically, Fat Tinkerbell says, "Hey, so have you heard of the girl that works in here who bangs the soldiers?" Barbie 101 then reacts all thrown off and confused. She seemed concerned and was a bit worried of the type of subject being brought up. Fat Tinkerbell then casually and friendly says, "It's a girl that I haven't even met, she has green eyes and short hair, I just don't know who it is." Barbie 101 acts all intrigued and confused, and so she explained that she doesn't know of anyone who matched the description and that she'll keep an eye out. Fat Tinkerbell laughed it off and later left. Fat Tinkerbell now felt completely done for. She knew that deep down this could get her into some deep shit. Fat Tinkerbell didn't even personally know Mr. Robocop like that, to be gossiping about him or any of his ex-females. She knew she could literally have caused herself to get fired easily from the job by having done this. This type of gossiping behavior could be instant termination from the job. Fat Tinkerbell felt an adrenaline rush unlike anything ever felt before. She felt such an unbelievable thrill from committing such a crime. Ha 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 ha. Fat Tinkerbell this time had no plan of how she could get away with having done it. No plan as to how she's gonna get out of this. There was no explanation that could save her. If she was questioned by the king or by Harry Potter, she'd have no idea how to respond or how to defend herself. It was likely that the king himself and Harry Potter would be on Robocop's side at all times. Robocop is in fact the king's favorite soldier of them all. It was also likely that both the king and Harry Potter knew about how the Robocop tends to mess around with female sellers. It's possible that they even know the history between Brunette Barbie and Robocop firsthand. Fat Tinkerbell still didn't know of when exactly Robocop had a thing going on with her. It could have taken place the year prior, 2018, which is more than likely to have been the case. On top of all these consequences, Fat Tinkerbell also knew that Robocop would surely end up hearing about all of this. He was thankfully gone on vacation. He was gone on his 5 days. But soon, he'd make his return. And we all know that this man, boy, whatever the fuck he is, that he's a temperamental street punk. He's a daredevil, he is a badass. He's beaten up employees under his command, he's muscular and strong and buff and manly. He has got a loud manly voice like that of thunder. He always looks angry, like if someone ticked him off. And Fat Tinkerbell herself doesn't personally know this guy. She never spoke with him, she never interacted with him. He gave her commands and told her what to do, but aside from that, zero friendship, zero interaction and zero casual conversation. Zero everything. Fat Tinkerbell has been working in there almost 5 to 6 months now, and still was on bad terms with Robocop and even Harry Potter. So this is where the problem lied. Fat Tinkerbell was worried about her main bosses, getting on her about the situation if they found out. But she was petrified of Robocop himself having something to say about all of this. Who knows what type of reaction he could have if he finds out about Fat Tinkerbell's actions. He could punch Fat Tinkerbell's face in, or yell at her real bad. Or something real crazy like that. Regardless, Fat Tinkerbell made sure that she sounded as confused and intrigued as she could. When exposing Brunette Barbie to the new Barbie, Fat Tinkerbell played it off as if she had just heard such a secret and as if she didn't know who it is. As if she didn't know who the soldier who bangs the female employees is. Or who is the nasty Barbie that bangs the soldiers. She didn't mention any names, she didn't say Robocop. She didn't say Brunette Barbie. She just casually mentioned that there is some girl in there with green eyes that sleeps with the soldiers of the maze. No names mentioned. No dates mentioned. Mrs. Help obviously was not mentioned at all. Fat Tinkerbell truly played it off, as if she were truly ignorant of this story. Ha 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 ha. So therefore, she hoped for the best. She hoped to ruin Brunette Barbie's reputation and make her look bad by not getting herself into some deep trouble and getting away with it all. She also hoped for poor innocent Mrs. Help of the Help Center to not hear of this. Mrs. Help was the one who told Fat Tinkerbell the secret in the first place. That would cause Mrs. Help to mistrust Fat Tinkerbell and break the friendship they've built. She can only hope for Barbie 101 to not turn on her or point the finger at Fat Tinkerbell. It was all up to destiny now. Was Fat Tinkerbell gonna get in serious trouble? Would Brunette Barbie and King and Robocop hear of this? Would all the soldiers that exist hear of this? Or was she gonna make Brunette Barbie and Robocop look like nasty, unprofessional, uneducated, immoral, immature, degenerate, depraved employees? Was she gonna make Brunette Barbie look like the blow-up doll she is? Was she gonna make her look like she got ran through? Looks like we're gonna have to wait and see. Well guys, that was the real life, true story, written by the author of Exposed. If you haven't read the previous stories, I suggest you do so, in order to understand the characters and the storyline. Share this story with whoever needs it. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you've experienced something like this, please leave your comments down below. If you've ever crushed on your boss or your own bully, just leave your thoughts on this whole situation down below in the comments. You can find me on BitChute under the same username. You can also find me in DeviantArt under the same username. My second YouTube is EmyyWolf Productions. All other links down in the description. Thanks for watching.